Well, it was a surprise to me to realize I had a speech to give today. But actually that might be the better way for me to do this, because my mind starts going and I'm thinking about the theme, and I think the benefits of travel are many. And I'd like to explain some of what I think the benefits of travel are to you today. You get to see new things. And you might have always dreamed of going to a place, and to actually see it firsthand as opposed to in pictures is pretty amazing. We went to, well, as a family, we've done many road trips around the U.S., the western U.S. We've driven as far as San Antonio, Texas, but we've also flown to New York and then taken a driving trip around Lake Ontario, I want to say, and been into Canada. And as you work your way east in Canada, it begins to feel a bit like France, because Quebec City everything's written in French. The people do speak English, but they also, French is their native language. So seeing new things and broadening your horizons is one of those benefits. What else is, as Toastmasters, we know we like to get out of our comfort zone. Mark's fond of saying your comfort zone is where dreams go to die. But by traveling, we are not in our comfort zone. How many of you have ever driven somewhere and then gone, oh my gosh, I'm here, I don't even remember the trip? Yeah, I've done that a lot. Not a lot, but more than I would expect. And realizing that kind of we're not even in our own, we're not living in our own bodies at the moment. We're thinking about either the future or another place, things we've got to do. Our minds are somewhere else, so we're not inhabiting the place we're in. But when you're traveling somewhere different, you are paying attention because everything's new. You need to know where you're headed. You might be looking at a map or looking at your GPS or something like that, but you are conscious of every moment that you're spending, which is sort of a nice vacation in a way. We meet new people. I remember, and I've told this story to a few people before, but back in days before cell phones, I made a trip with several friends. We landed in France. We went into Venice, and we went to Spain and Portugal. Venice was the only city we went to in Italy. But we got on the wrong train, and we should have known when the train pulled out of the station. I mean, it wouldn't be sitting there because the trains are on time there in Switzerland. You can bet on that. But we were on the wrong train, so we had to get off the train at the next station so that we could wait for the right train to come through. Fortunately, they had that part in common, and we could correct our mistake. But as we sat there were a group of people from all over, but we kind of trickled in. We were first. We sat down, and somebody came along, and they sat down, and I think they had a question about, like, maybe a navigational question, or where you headed, or where you from, or something like that. And eventually, there were about 8 of us, and we're all trying to help each other communicate about what we do for a living, or where we're from, and things like that. And so different languages in common. Somebody might have a question, but somebody else had to kind of translate for them. And it was just neat. And now we'd be sitting on our phones, but it was a neat way to pass the time. And it was really only about 10 minutes, but it's one of those very memorable experiences of my life. So we can meet new people, see favorite things. You can go back to places. How many of you have read a book when you were in high school because it was a required book, but then read it again later and found a lot more meaning in that book? Mm-hmm. Yeah. The reason for that is that we've grown. The pages are the same. The words on the page are the same, but we've grown. We've brought more experience. Maybe we've experienced some of the things that our characters in this story have experienced now, and we have a richness that we bring to it. Likewise with travel, you may have read about a place. I listen to audiobooks that are set in Scotland. We actually went to Scotland just a couple of years ago, and so now I can visit that in my mind when I'm hearing the stories, and vice versa. I was like, oh, I've heard of this place. So we can add layers to our experience. We can see landscapes, works of art. Thank you, Priscilla, for pointing that out. We can enjoy landscapes that are quite different from our own. The Asian landscape is quite different from ours. Even just traveling into the western U.S. with mesas, all the flat mountains, and then you come back to California, I'm like, oh, ours are really cone-like. I mean, you don't think about it, but you see it when you've been faced with other things. The food. You're more adventurous than I am. I don't think I would have eaten marrow if you paid me, but but you know, you can explore things. Having a Brazilian meal that you wouldn't have had, but here's this place that looks kind of fun. I'm going to go check that out. Cultural awareness. When you learn, how many in here speak another language? At least a little bit. Did anybody learn? Yeah, a little. Like in high school, maybe you learned French or, you know, whatever. Okay. So I would not consider myself well versed in French, but I know that when I was learning another language, that added a lot of awareness of my own language. You can't directly translate some of the things that we say. Pick up your kids. You're not picking up your kids. You are going to get them from school or the mall or whatever. A lot of things don't translate directly, but we become aware of the things that we say by learning another language. Likewise, as I mentioned with the scenery, we become a little bit more appreciative and aware of our own scenery. That was just background for us. When we've seen something else for a while, we come back to our own place. Finally, you sharpen the saw. Does that expression mean anything to you guys? Stephen Covey talks about the 7 habits of highly effective people, but one of those is to sharpen the saw. By that he means we can keep working and working and working. We can cut down a tree, but the saw is getting dull as we work. And so we get less and less effective at it. But if you take a few moments and you sharpen the saw, you're going to get a lot more effectiveness, a lot more productivity out of what you're doing. Similarly, our brains, as I mentioned, on their drives or while we're sitting in a meeting, we're constantly telling ourselves, I am anyway, like all the things I have to do. I'm making lists in my head, or I'm thinking about how I'm going to make this afternoon and evening work when I've got 60 things going on. When you go on vacation, you become a little bit more focused on your actual surroundings, less in your head, and maybe give yourself a little bit of a break with all of your to-do lists. So when you come back, you're refreshed, you're energized, you're excited about being back, maybe not at work perhaps, but oh, I get to see my dog again, and I'm going to do something with my yard, and all the things that you might like to do, but now your saw has been sharpened, so you're ready. It's very exciting. So those are some of the benefits of travel, and I hope that you will consider, if you haven't, of course most people travel, but get away, even if it's a day. Go on a day trip for a complete change of scenery and sharpen the saw. Enjoy the surroundings.
Thank you. That was fantastic, and I can't believe that was spur of the moment. That was awesome.
I know.
And he's even more inspired to go. And one thing I do like, you mentioned, I like to travel, and then when I come back home, really appreciate my home even more. I look forward to relaxing, being settled. So there are so many things that are great about traveling. So. And now it is time for the timer's report for the speeches.
Of course. Priscilla, she spoke 7 minutes and 59 seconds because I gave 1 minute buffer line, so you were within the speaker limits. That was awesome. Tracy spoke 7 minutes and 52 seconds. It was nice and awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we are now on to the Fair Weather Minute. Antoine, please. Or you can